So we're definitely producing on a budget to start.
Then we're a perfect match because we're producing on a budget too.
I love it. How this will show up. It's super, like a beautiful purple color.
Oh, inky and
as opposed to like the little bit more vibrancy and reds that you get out of that.
It's a stainer.
Yeah.
It'll definitely require you to bring the stick out if you need to do that.
Yep.
I mean, what we're trying to do is build sort of a community and a family with here as the centerpiece. My extended family was always very much like that. There was always sort of this central hub where you could always felt like you could meet and gather, and that's very much the feeling that we want to give. We're a very small little place. We've got the 12 Pinot Noir barrels here. I started out as an amateur winemaker living in Cincinnati, Ohio, and just started doing it as for my wife and I as a way to kind of have this couples project where we had together. We were wine drinkers, but we were not sommeliers by any means.
Right.
I mean, but we went out and we got a winemaker's kit in a box, and we started with juice and just kind of did that. What I found for me was it hit this area of me where I wanted to be expressive and creative. And for me, I've always felt that the best wines sort of roll like a wave across your tongue. It's one of the things that we love so much about Pinot Noir. It's the subtlety, and we produce a softer style Pinot. And what I love about that is it lets a lot of those subtleties and underlying characteristics really come out. It makes, to us, far more interesting wines than the bigger, heavy, jammy, or even the Syrah I make is not the big, heavy, jammy Syrah that you often see.
Okay.
Behind us are 12 Pinot Noir barrels. That's my Pinot Noir production for the year.
Okay.
In what way am I going to put them together to make 2 or 3 of the most interesting and very different Pinot Noirs to option?
So you're talking about the scientific stuff has happened.
Exactly.
And now you're blending individual barrels in order to create this finished product that is what you would want your expression of Willamette Valley Pinot to be.
Exactly. The Pinots are like when you have children. They are related, but they have very different characteristics just depending on the environment that they came from.
Right.
And that plays out. Every year you're going to have a little bit of a different style, a little bit of a different character.
So what's the plot of land that you have here that's yours that's plantable acres?
Sure. So plantable acreage ends up being about 8.5.
Okay.
And we've got 5 of those under vine so far.
Okay.
About 3 of which are producing.
It was the stories that always made it so easy for me to help a customer select a wine. When I was, taking care of a table at a restaurant, I could say the winemaker and his vineyards are right up the hill, and it's actually a really cool story. They started out in their garage making wine, decided that it was their passion. They decided to abandon their careers. They moved to Oregon on a whim, and now all of a sudden they're making this amazing Pinot. It's a business, but it's a business of passion. Like that's ultimately why you said goodbye to the business that was, you mentioned potentially had the opportunity to make you very well off. And so I think that's really cool.
For us, the wines that we make and the style that we do as far as our personal style here in the tasting room, it's what we would have wanted if we had been sitting in our customers' shoes.
2 ends of an extreme spectrum. A wine, a Pinot Noir, let's say, since that's clearly what we're tasting and discussing, that has 0 oak on it at all, versus a wine that is 100% new French oak.
Right.
Okay.
You're going to be able to taste some of that wood, and it's going to not just the char, but the wood itself will permeate through and definitely get into the wine. You will taste a lot of that, you'll taste a lot less of the fruit.
Okay.
On the other side, you're gonna end up with a whole lot of fruit and some acid. You might lack some structure that holds it all together.
Okay, so we're talking, like, if we talk about different points of your mouth, no oak, all really zippy, like, mouth-watering on the tongue, but none of the...
But it would be pretty flat.
Yep, so none of the cheek and gum mouthfeel, as
Exactly.
opposed to on the other side, the acid maybe is not diminished, but is overwhelmed.
That's the exact way to say it. It's not that anything is disappearing. It's just that what you're bringing with the wood is so overwhelming that any of those subtleties, those characteristics, you are not going to taste. That's, so what you think about as the winemaker is taking, it's not like you're putting a recipe together, but for me, it's imagining how the wine is going to shape.
Okay.
So the oak definitely plays a role in that shape, as do all the other things, the clones that we use, how hard we press, which barrel specifically, how is that wine as it's traveling through your mouth going to be shaped.